On today's episode of the What Is Up podcast, Bubba sits down with longtime friend Ryan Peterson, a small-town family man who is an avid hunter and triathlete, but also the only man to play the role of a wise man in a Christmas Eve play at church who needed to tape his one and only line to his box of frankincense. Here's your host, Bubba Seaman.
All right, Ryan, let's get into segment number one, my man.
I like it. Let's do it.
We got your history done. Everyone knows who you are. They know what you're about. Now let's have some fun. This is what I call the Pastor Tommy segment. If you remember Pastor Tommy from time to time, he'd say, I hope in heaven there's a room where you can go in, and it's a theater room, and you can say, I want to see this from the Bible. And maybe there's popcorn, I don't know, but he said, man, I want to see this or that or whatever. And, you know, some of you listeners might be thinking, man, how can you be so selfish to say, you can be in heaven? Well, it's like Ryan said, the Bible is truth. Even if you don't believe it or understand it, it is truth. Don't you dare try and remove that, because then things go to hell in a handbasket. You can know that you're going to heaven. I don't know if there's a theater room, but Ryan, if there is, and you could watch any event recorded in Scripture, what would it be, man?
All right, so I cheated because, you know, that's how I like to treat life. I'm a cheater, Bubba.
You're not a cheater.
I gave you two things because I couldn't.
Okay, that's fine.
I could not do one. These are the two things that I want to see. One is the resurrection.
Okay.
That's the number one thing I want to see. So
good one.
If you can watch the resurrection, everything else is secondary. So in my mind's eye, I would want to see the resurrection, and then
cool.
and then the looks on the disciples' face, all the ones that had turned and wanted to run away now and hide and claim they didn't know him when he actually. I want to see the look on their faces of I mean, it's got to been unbelievable.
Yeah, you almost can't imagine it. Yeah.
So that's my number one for sure. My number two, which I went back and forth, but number two is just the creation of the earth when they separated the land and water.
Okay.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
How that actually, because you know, that's one of them things where I don't know where I stand on it. I don't know how it happened. I hear you heard 80 stories. I don't believe any of them all the way.
Okay.
I would love to see how God really. One thing I do know is God did it.
Right.
How He did it and what time it took Him to do it, I don't know, and I'll never sit here and try to pretend that I do know.
Okay.
Because God is more powerful than any of us. We all know that. He could have done it in 7 days. He could have done it in 7 million years. I don't know how long He did it. I'm telling you, I would love to see it.
Right.
See it. That would be my number 1 and 2.
That's good. That's really good. Man, I wasn't expecting you to have that thoughtful of answers for that. I thought you just kind of pick something and go with it. Very good. Very good. Yeah, you know, the Bible says he spoke, and it took, you know, every day He spoke, this is what was created, and that's it. And then, yeah, people interpret that differently, saying maybe it wasn't literal days or not. I think that's kind of what you're saying, like right. Some people. And to be honest, I like how the Robertson guys discuss it. Al, Phil, and Jace, they all three believe something different.
Right.
What is it? Phil believes it's a young earth. He believes, hey, you read the Bible, it says year, it says day, that is it. We're about 7,000 years old. What is, I don't want to miss it, but the other two, Al thinks it's an old earth, so we're talking millions or billions or whatever, and Jace is a mixture of both. He goes, no, I think it's a young earth, but when we calculate things or measure rock or date rocks and things like that or layers, it looks old, but it's actually young, and we just can't figure out how that, you know, it's God. He could do it. So get in the Bible and form your own interpretation of it. I mean, that's all we're called to do. Read the Bible, pray, let God speak to you, and that's not a core issue.
No,
you can know you're going to heaven without
not
that.
A deal breaker.
That's right.
You know God created it, and so me and my wife disagree on it. But I mean,
Good.
Very much. I would, if I had to pick, I'd say I'm more in the middle. I'm in the middle. I don't know.
I know. Okay.
And
nobody
does.
Nope. And if they tell you they do,
with a certainty, you're correct.
That's my problem. I love answers in Genesis. I like Ken Ham, but when he rubs me the wrong way when he says, if you can't believe Genesis 1 or you can't believe this, don't turn another page. And I'm just like, Ken, you are one of the smartest guys on earth. How can you tell people that they have no grace to proceed and figure things out and let God reveal to them? Why do you say that? Don't turn another page.
He turns people off.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
And He's smart. We're going to have those questions till the day we die. God may reveal some answers to us, but man, that's just not, there's a better way to go about it. Okay, let's go to Segment number 2. Now, I call this the Doug Heffernan segment. You probably don't know who Doug Heffernan is, do you? Okay,
No.
there was a popular show, King of Queens. Guy was like a UPS driver, lived in Queens, New York. His high school glory days, big football star. So this one is, what is your best moment from your high school glory days, or for you, since you flunked swimming in high school? I did not know that. You didn't tell me. You just told me you couldn't swim very well.
Yeah, I flunked it bad.
So you could pick something, from your amateur boxing days or whatever. What's your best glory moment, man?
Here's what it is, Bubba. So I cheated you again because my most favorite my best moment is my Ironman finish, period. No, I boxed, I did good, blah, blah, blah. I did sports, I did this. I never set a goal so big,
Right.
trained so hard, was meticulous. The amount of, I'm not intelligent, I work hard to get things done. I refused to quit. I don't believe anybody's better than me. And so then with sport, I'm not physically gifted like my son is, Henry.
Right.
But I'm mentally tough. And so that gets me through things. I mean, I had months, you have no idea the amount of time I spent training for my Ironman. And I had months and months of detailed notes, heart rates, training, what I ate, how it worked, what I did to get through, to do that race. That's my best moment in sport.
So tell our listeners, when we say an Ironman, how much total distance?
140.6 miles total.
How
So
much is a swim?
2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and then a full marathon, 26.2 mile run.
How long did it take you?
My first one took me, I think it was almost 15 hours. And then, or 14, I don't remember. My second one, I did it in 13 hours in like 2 minutes. I was on pace for a 12-hour one. But then I learned what my problem was. And so my first one, I completely fell apart. I passed out at the finish line, blah, blah, blah. I was very sick. The second one, I trained even harder for in Arizona. I went there, and I learned that, so as I get deep into a race, no matter how hard I train unbelievable for it. So I got 14 miles in a run. I'm still cranking 8:30 miles. I was cranking towards a very, very incredible finish time. I get sick. I was trying to start throwing up. So then I come to find out that I don't have great kidneys. And so I've got a kidney disease, blah, 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 but it's never going to, in my mind, it ain't going to get me. So that's what I told you. So what happens is as the lactic acid builds up, my body can't do two things deep into a race. And this is why that's why a full Ironman, we're done. I can't do it. It's too hard for my body. So I'm a very, very heavy sweater. Okay. And so my body, my kidneys can't process the fluids. And so I sweat. You can only process, a healthy person can only process, I can't remember how many ounces of fluids per hour. Regardless of that, I sweat out more fluids per hour than my body can process in one. And number two, the more important thing, the reason why you get sick and woozy is my kidneys can't keep up with the waste elimination. So over the course of an Ironman, the waste builds up in my body. Okay. And so the lactic acid and everything builds up in me, and I basically become jaundice. So, see what I'm saying? My creatine levels get so high in my body because I'm not flushing. My kidneys cannot flush the waste out. And so for me, it's about that 7-8 hour mark where I just can't keep it more. So then I slowly build it. You felt the lactic build up in your legs, when you're in a deep run.
Yeah.
Mine gets so bad, I start throwing up. I can't hold fluids in, blah, 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 blah. And so there's no amount of training I could do that could get me great at that race.
Gotcha.
I survive it.
Right.
I could never get good at it.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So my most favorite sport moment is finishing an Ironman because it took a tremendous amount of discipline to get there.
Absolutely.
Super fun. One of the coolest things I ever did. Incredible events there. They run an incredible event.
Which ones? Where did you all go for them? Coeur
d'Alene, Idaho was the first one I
Okay.
did, which was it's no longer an Ironman. It was the second hardest Ironman course in North America, and that's why I decided to do that for my first one because I'm
Idiot.
not real bright. So you had to climb Mount Micah 2 different times. So it was over 8,000 feet of elevation gain on the bike course itself. It was 100 degrees out that day. It was a rough day.
Who in their right mind chooses that for their first one?
Nobody
in their right mind. That's the answer.
Me and my buddy, because we weren't real bright.
Right. That's what I said. Nobody in their right mind.
We were going to go to Wisconsin or do a different one that was, closer and easier. Like, he's like, hey, look at this one. You get to climb this cool mountain twice. I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. Not a good idea.
No.
Especially for flatlanders like us here in Iowa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that is there's my cheat moment on that. I was 40 years old when I did it, or 42, so it's not quite a high school. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of high school time. I did.
True. I guess not. Guess not.
All right, what else?
All
you
right,
got
number
for me?
3, segment number 3. What
on.
is on your phone? So what is the last song or podcast you listened to, or what's the last YouTube video you watched? If you got to pull your phone out, you check it right now. This is how
I
it
don't
goes.
have to. So I listen to 2 podcasts religiously, Unashamed and Line of Fire, Michael Brown. Those are the 2 I listen to. I always listen to.
Okay.
Those are my 2 favorite podcasts. They're completely different podcasts. I don't know if you ever listened to Line of Fire. Or
I
not.
know who Michael Brown is.
He is extremely smart. He was a Jewish-born man, became a Christian. Now I don't agree with everything he says. He's a charismatic.
Okay.
So he believes in gifts of the Spirit and all that stuff. And
Okay.
I don't know where I'm at on that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's okay.
Some of the stuff he'll say, in my mind's eye, is hokey, but he's an extremely intelligent man. And so what I get from him is a completely different take on the Bible than Unashamed. In my mind's eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get kind of the redneck approach.
Yeah.
And basically a guy who's a doctor. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The
Sophisticated. Sure.
guy, correct. So I listen to podcasts.
That's good
A
stuff.
lot of podcasts. For music, I'm still old school with my stuff. U2, I love U2.
Oh my goodness.
Favorite. That's the number 1 rock and roll band of all time is U2. No one's even close.
Okay.
Not even close. So.
I might have to ask my other guests that then.
Yep.
You're planting your flag on you too.
Yep.
All right.
Modern era would be Coldplay.
Okay.
Old,
Gotcha.
so and they sound very similar.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's so U2, Coldplay. That's I can spend 90% of my day listening to those 2 bands.
Nice. Nice.
All right.
Okay. So I'm gonna recommend one podcast to you because we talk about that stuff from time to time. What are you listening to? What do you consume? And I got onto this one recently called Cooper Stuff. You remember the band Skillet, the heavy, not really heavy metal, but hard rock Christian band Skillet? Well, they were around when we were younger anyway. And he's got a podcast. I think you'd like his take on a lot of merging Christianity with culture today. So he doesn't run away from any issues. He will talk about them. You can tell he's a singer. He's got an awesome voice. Cooper Stuff.
Cooper Stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
His name's John Cooper, and he don't run away from a fight. That's for sure. Okay, so let's move on to segment number 4. Now this one's called Getting to Know You. This is rapid fire here. Okay.
All right.
If you could meet anyone in the world today, who would it be?
Phil Robertson.
Nice. Did you guys go on vacation and go down there?
We were going to, and then I got sick because my immune system stinks, and we didn't get to go down there. So now we're going to plan it. That's me next winter. We're hoping to go down
Okay. Because last we talked, you told me I'm going
Oh, yeah.
down.
We
We're
had
going to do the
all-
tour.
yep.
Bubba will send you pictures, and I never got anything. And I was like, oh, I wonder what
There.
happened. That's why. Okay.
Not cool. We didn't make it. So
Yeah.
we're still going to make it
Good.
because I really
Good.
want to see that down there.
Okay. And I heard recently on the Duck Call Room, sometimes I listen to that one
I
just
do
for pure
too.
entertainment.
It's-
It's nothing biblical hardly.
No.
And Martin was saying, hey, I go down to the store just to get away from work. So if you're in there and somebody's there, they're just rednecks.
Right.
Like you said. So, all right. But how about not anyone today? How about anyone in history?
Jesus.
Nice. Well, you're going to meet him someday, buddy. I promise you that. Favorite workout song?
Clocks.
By who?
Coldplay.
Of course. All right. Now, since I know you are a guy that loves his food and loves to cook his food and is very picky about his food and despises restaurants, if I remember right, if you were on death row and you're going down tomorrow, what is your last meal tonight?
All right. I'm going to have a pork tenderloin sandwich with mashed potatoes and the country gravy. And then Mary's going to make me up. She probably won't make it since I'm on death row, but I want her to make me up. She makes this, I don't know what you want to call it. It's a simple recipe, but so we picked those wild raspberries.
Okay.
And then she uses, I don't know if it's called custard or I don't know what you call it, but I don't care. It's delicious. So she takes the bottom of the thing is the black wild raspberries, which are my favorite fruit in the world.
Okay.
And then she puts white cake on top of it and bakes it.
Okay.
It's a 12 out of 10. It's incredible.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
think-
because you're not a sweets guy. You're a meat
No,
and potatoes,
I
salty kind
and
of.
I'm not a fruit guy, but Mary loves to pick those berries, and so I started eating them to humor her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I fell in love.
And you fell in love with it.
Love them. Oh my gosh,
Nice.
she makes the best. It's nuts. Yeah, so that'd be the meal I'd have right there, Bubba.
Oh, Mary, you better have that ready tonight.
I doubt it.
Okay. All right. What was your first car?
1978 Olds Delta 88.
Olds Delta 88.
Yep.
Worst car?
A 1995 Ford Exploder.
Ford Explorer?
Exploder.
Exploder. Okay.
Yes, sir. We bought that when me and Mary were young and broke, and we drove it for 3 months, and then tranny dropped.
Oh,
And we had spent every dime we had on that vehicle. Yeah,
that's
that was
the worst.
a bad day.
Man, cars suck.
Yep.
Cars suck. I mean, but you got to have one. Okay. Most embarrassing moment or the dumbest thing you ever did?
Dumbest thing that I got you to say, this is different too. The dumbest thing I ever did was start chewing tobacco. Period.
Good choice. Good choice.
Dumbest thing I ever did. It's the hardest thing I ever quit too.
Mm-hmm.
Tobacco.
Oh, they say, yeah, nicotine it's up there. There's
it's-
nothing better.
I chewed for 28 years, and it was extremely hard to quit.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't chewed for 9 years now here in a week and a half, so
Attaboy.
it's extremely hard.
Attaboy.
Yes, tobacco.
See, that's one more I'm going to throw it because I'm hearing of more and more people, my parents, my wife's parents. You can smoke your whole life, start in school or whatever. You can quit. Don't tell me 20, 30 years you can't quit. You can. Now I'm going to throw you in on that mix.
Started when I was 12 and quit on my 40th birthday.
There you go. I'm proud of you. Okay, let's go on. What's the next one? One thing you love or appreciate about Mary, your spouse.
All right, I cheated you again, Bubba. That's why it's taken more than an hour. I could put just one thing about it. I've been with her my whole life. You know what I mean? So, but the number one thing she's got that I will not tolerate people. So if you hang around people around me, you got to have integrity. She's integrity. Her integrity is fantastic. She's honest, she's loyal, and she's a great teammate.
Wow.
That's Mary right there in a nutshell.
Wow. Man, I want to marry you now. Holy cow. That is very good. Very good. Okay. Number one problem we face today. I should have been more specific. I'd say mankind in general or as a country.
Mine
not
fits.
Okay.
Greed. Greed. That's in my mind's eye, that is the number one problem we have.
Good one.
We got some other problems that are close second.
Sure,
or third,
sure.
But I would say greed in this capitalistic society is tore us apart. And it's gonna, in my mind's eye, it's gonna be what's gonna be the death of this country. Okay,
Gotcha. What's the number one thing we got going for us?
technology.
Wow. Technology.
You can find the answer to anything with this little black box in your hand. You can. Can you not?
Yep.
You don't have to be smart anymore.
Well,
Oh, I wonder when this happened. When did this happen? Bang, answer.
it's there. Yep.
Technology is in. I mean, when I was in college, Bubba, this is how bad it was. We had typewriters still when I was in college.
Oh my goodness.
When I had to get,
Oh, my
you know
goodness.
what? You understand? I was in college before the World Wide Web, Bubba. So when I was in college, back in 1993, you know how you found answers? You had to go to books.
Books, encyclopedias. Yeah.
There was no,
printings, yeah.
Google Snap, search this or whatever they do, and that you got it. Bang, answers.
No. You remember the card catalog?
Yeah.
Show a picture of that to some kids today and be like, this mountain of drawers with these little cards. That's how you found the book you wanted to read.
The typewriter we had at home didn't have the correct button on it. So when you hit the wrong letter, you rip the whole page out and start it over again.
The old days.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Best memory or moment from church, or have you ever felt like God was? If you don't have a great moment from your history in church, did you ever have a moment where you felt like God was speaking to you or nudging you?
So I will go. My best moment from church as an adult is easy. That was when all my kids were in Awanas, and I was the Awana game guy. And this is before you were director, when we had Dick Eade, who I loved him.
Okay.
Great human being. And we would all go to Awanas every night on Wednesday nights, and we'd come home and watch Duck Dynasty. During the Duck Dynasty years, me and George would rush home to watch Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
We'd have to catch it on the backside, so we were always a week behind because the real one would play at 8. Remember that?
Yep.
So at 8:30, they played last week's episode, so we'd always be 1 week behind. So we'd get home at 8:20, we'd have to wait till 8:30 to turn on, so we wouldn't want to catch any of the end of this week.
Yep.
So we could, you see what I'm saying? So that was my best time in my adult life at church. And then I went and was a camp counselor 2 years, once for George and once for Henry. That was a ton of fun. But for myself, church camp was the funnest thing I ever did at church.
Really?
And not just the fun part of it, the actual, even the service part of it, we're more tailored towards youth. And I like that. church used to not be tailored towards youth at all. It was,
Yep, I know what you mean.
3 hours of mind-boggling, So yeah, there's my church once. And does God speak to you? Oh, I think he's constantly speaking to us, either subtly or this or that. He's been speaking to me now, like I told you the other day, but just was putting some verses in my head, that I mean,
Yeah.
that have really stuck to me.
Yeah.
So I know there's a reason for it, and so that's what I'm digging into right now.
Good. Yeah.
So.
Very good. Very good stuff. Yeah, if it's there, if it keeps coming back,
right. There's a reason something comes to your
Yep.
brain 10 times, especially when you're like me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's a lot going on up there. You keep. It's the third time I've thought about that. Why does that keep coming back to me? Why do I hear somebody else talk about that? What I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's something.
Yep. Look into it.
Right.
Look into it. All right. And where are you at in the Bible right now? What are you reading?
I'm in the Gospels again. I was reading through doing a whole Bible read through, but I got stuck in the Gospels, and I've decided that I'm going to read them over and over again until I'm locked on them.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Good.
I'm back in Mark again. So I just, in my mind's eye, if you can, that's the nuts and bolts of it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've read the Old Testament a couple of different times. It can get super confusing.
Right.
And a lot of it doesn't pertain to me. So I'm in the Gospels right now.
It's good. It's good for history. Yeah. So you'd probably agree when people say, start in John, start in the Gospels. If you're a new believer, you don't need to start in Genesis just yet. Or if you're searching for Jesus, let's say you're not even a believer, start with one of the Gospels or all four of them, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
Correct.
Don't start in Genesis. I mean, it takes you so long to get to Jesus.
Start with Matthew, end in John, and if you still don't get it, start over again.
There you go.
I think I'm my third time through, Bubba, so.
Nothing wrong with that. A man who stops learning is a stupid man.
Correct.
So, all right, let's take another sponsor break. Our next sponsor for today is Canfield Farms. The Canfield Family Farm is a local Dunkerton farm that grows, processes, packages, and sells fresh, high-quality, non-GMO, non-medicated, complete animal feeds, hay, straw, and grains. So to all my Amish listeners and farmers out there, listen up. These guys are friends of mine, and they take the quality of their products very seriously and the way they treat people even more seriously. They strive to provide the best quality and service possible. So if that's a need that you have, go see my friends Earl and Jane in Dunkerton or check them out at www.canfieldfamilyfarm.com or through Facebook at Canfield Family Farm. Be sure to tell them that you heard about their top-notch products on the What Is Up podcast, or just tell them that Bubba sent you. All right. So as we get towards the end, we're each going to have a topic, and my final topic's just going to be movies, films, for the most part Christian films, because I've always been a movie guy. I was not a reader early on in life at all. I just couldn't do it. They couldn't hold my attention, so I was a movie guy. And now I learn, okay, there's actually some movies out there that aren't complete garbage, and Christian content is breaking into this stuff. And I know you and me are real passionate about this one. The Blind, coming out on September 28th. So for our listeners that don't know about it, this is going to be, like Ryan was talking about, the Duck Dynasty guys, Phil Robertson. It was not always hunky-dory. There's a lot of bad stuff in their past. There's a tremendous amount of work that God did in Phil's life to establish a family legacy. And they talk about this movie, The Blind, on the Unashamed podcast quite a bit. So I guess my first question about this one is, when did you start listening to the Unashamed podcast? Can you remember?
Shortly after they came out.
Really?
Yep, because I was about 30 episodes. They were about 30 episodes in.
Really?
Yeah, because so then I got the fortune of playing catch up. You know what I'm saying? So I would I caught all up. So I've heard every episode. So
right.
Yep, I got into them pretty early.
Good. I know I was in the 60s. It was when we went on lockdown. Somehow YouTube, I think we were starting to do Duck Dynasty reruns on YouTube.
Yep.
And it popped up, and I was like, what is that? And I heard that little strumming of the guitar, and it caught my ear, and I was like, these guys are doing a podcast. So I want to say it was the mid-60s, and now what are they on, 700 and some, like 750s?
They're up there.
Yeah, so it's been going for a few years. Wow, you got in earlier than me. So I want you to tell me why you're looking forward to The Blind so much. What do you think is going to be so big about this movie? Because Hollywood's not producing it. They had to produce it themselves. It's not going to have a huge release, but why are you so excited about it?
I would say, what can happen when you let God lead your life? In my mind's eye, there's just very few people out there, especially people who became celebrities, that you can say, hey, there's a Christian. I mean, Phil Robertson, he leads it. He doesn't talk the talk, he walks it. He lives it.
Sure.
I've just got so much wisdom and insight from him on, well, especially the Gospels. You know, I've been going through the Gospels. That's what kind of got me back on reading the Gospels.
Okay.
My take on the Gospels has changed a lot since I listened to their podcast. I get their take. I don't always agree with them. I go,
me neither.
Like anything else, I agree with some of this, some of that. Then I listen to my other guy I tell you about, Michael Brown. And then just the legacy they've created within their family is just incredible.
It is.
It's incredible.
It really is.
And you can see what happens when you live a godly life. It'll weigh on you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It does me. He's incredible. Incredible human being.
I agree.
I agree. I think he's just down to earth. He's just is what he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little rough around the edges, probably why I like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can relate.
Sometimes
to him
he says stuff. He's like, I probably shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? You can just tell it. You know, but yeah, I like him.
Good. Yeah. I knew you could relate to him a little bit. I had one of those moments Thursday night. Bridget's fiance got baptized at church, a little private ceremony with some family and stuff. And the pastor asked me if I wanted to say a few words. And, I said a few things or whatever. And at one point I caught myself saying, I'm proud of you because when you plant your flag and you are baptized publicly, you're saying, I'm with Jesus. And it's going to cost you something. There's going to be friends or people or whatever the culture pushes against you. It's going to cost you something. And you're willing to say, to hell with them, I'm with Jesus. And that night it started, did I say to hell with anyone else at church in a And I was like, I did. A little. Sometimes the old Bubba comes out,
right.
And it's like, man, you could have chose better words than that. So I started sending out texts,
Right.
and I said, I was able to send them out in 2 different groups, and I think I covered just about everybody. I was like, hey, I could have chose better words than that. I hope you guys understand what I meant. And everybody came back saying, we know what you meant.
Right.
I've said that a couple different times. I swear because to me, hell isn't a cuss word. And whenever I let it slip, the kids remind me, no, it is, Dad. And you shouldn't say that. But yeah, that's kind of Phil. He is a little rough around the edges. Dude, I think a majority of people can relate to that upbringing when Phil was in his dark days. I think there's going to be a lot of people that grew up with an abusive dad or divorce or whatever it is, and they're going to be crushed if they go see this movie. They're going to be in tears, and then they're going to see exactly what you said. If you let God have control, what can he do? And I don't want to spoil it all for you, but go to theblindmovie.com, check out the trailer. Me and Ryan been following this since they first mentioned it on their podcast, the Unashamed podcast. If you're not listening to that, like that one too. Listen to it. When it first came out that they were going to do this movie, it was not coming to the Cedar Valley. The closest theater was Dubuque, and that's 2 hours away, but they had it set up since a small independent Christian company, Fathom Events, is doing this and working with Angel Studios. They were going to let you host it at your church, or at least proceed with trying to host it at your church if you were more than, I think it was like an hour and a half away. And so I started that process, and then me and Ryan were talking the other day. He says, hey, you see it's coming to Waterloo, right? And I was like, I did just notice that. It wasn't in the beginning, and that's because of ticket pre-sales. So you got to do like Ryan did. You've got to go online right now. If you're in our area, Cedar Valley, you need to go on Marcus Theaters. You need to pick your day, pick your time, buy your tickets, because they're promoting this thing independently. And the more tickets they sell, the more theaters it gets into, and they can, vice versa. The less tickets it sells, they can start pulling back. Theaters will say, hey, it's not going to make any money. But there's something about these films based on true events. We were talking a little bit about Jesus Revolution. That just killed it in the box office, and that was all based on real events back in the 70s out in California, and that far exceeded expectations, made all kinds of money, all that good stuff. So you have to support these kinds of things when they come along if you're Christians. And even if you're not Christians, I promise you, me and Ryan will guarantee it, you will enjoy this film. But we know it's going to encourage you as well. So if you didn't see Sound of Freedom, that was another good one. That was about a former Department of Homeland agent, Tim Ballard, and he was just fighting child sex trafficking, putting away pedophiles and things like that. That was an excellent film. Jim Caviezel, the guy that played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ film, he played Tim Ballard. And again, it was based on true events. They did add some stuff for creative, what do they call it, artistic creativity or something like that to make it a little more film-worthy. it's definitely a good film, far exceeded expectations. So, and there's a lot of stuff in the background noise going on about that movie and pushback about the movie. So if you just look up Sound of Freedom, you can see that kind of stuff too. So, and yeah, my last one I was going to talk about, Nefarious. Did you say you saw that one or no?
I've not seen
Okay, so Nefarious was really good. The whole movie took, just barely millions to film, and it's about a guy on death row who claims to be possessed by a demon, so he shouldn't be executed. It's nearing his execution, so the state has to send in a psychologist to decide, hey, is this guy mental, or can we go through with this thing? Because you can't put to death someone who's mentally incapacitated. And of course, the psychiatrist is an atheist. And I promise you, if you sit down and watch this film for the first 10 minutes, when that atheist psychiatrist sits down, and I know there's atheists that listen to this, and guess what? You can listen. I don't hate you. Ryan doesn't hate you. We've all got different opinions and views, and that's the whole point of this podcast, is just be able to share and remember that we can have different views and still have conversation. That's actually a good thing. Debating of ideas, that's a good thing. It leads to truth. If you want to find truth, that's how you get to it. You cannot just shut somebody out. So in the first few minutes of this film, that atheist psychiatrist walks in, sits down with this guy, and he starts saying that he's possessed, he's a demon, this and that and the other thing. And the guy says, the psychiatrist says, that's not a good defense because I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of that. And that guy looks him straight in the face and laughs and says, do you think it matters what you think? It does not. And the rest of the film will have you on the edge of your seat. It was very well done.
Was this in the theaters?
Small release in theaters. Very small. The guy wrote a book, Steve Dace. He's on Blaze Media.
Okay.
So it was a book first, then they made it into a film. It's now on streaming. So
is it on streaming now?
Yeah, we watched it just a couple weeks ago. We missed it in theaters, but look up the trailer, Nefarious, and decide if you want to stream that. Excellent film. It really hits at some of the core issues that are plaguing people today from a good versus evil standpoint. But what I liked was he was on a podcast I listened to at one point. I think it was on Unashamed, and he was talking about, he says, the way we've been doing church and dressing it up and trying to reach people with pastors with Hawaiian shirts and khaki pants, he goes, has it produced a crop? Has it produced anything? No. Kids are leaving the church in droves. They need some more meat on it. And so he said, this is going to be a sneak attack. You won't know this film's a Christian film, but it will show you good versus evil. So yeah, check that one out. Okay, our last sponsor for the day is American Self-Storage. So whether you're moving or have extra items that just need to be put away or have large RVs or campers or boats, American Self-Storage has excellent news for you. They offer a safe and secure place to store your belongings. Their facilities are fenced in and have surveillance cameras throughout the property. American Self-Storage has a variety of units available to store all your household items to your commercial items, and it's affordable. They also offer 24-hour access to all their storage units. American Self-Storage is a family-owned and operated storage rental company with 17 years of experience. They strive to provide quality, clean, and affordable storage units for all your belongings, and they got a friendly, dependable staff to ensure that the process of renting a storage unit space runs smoothly for you. I want you to go check out their 2 locations in Waterloo at 1627 Elk Run Road and 2231 Independence Avenue, or you can check them out online at AmericanSelfStorageInc.com, and then contact my friend Julie at American Self Storage today at 319-233-0477, or you can shoot her an email at AmericanSelfStorageInc@yahoo.com. Tell her you heard about her amazingly clean and affordable and secure storage units on the What Is Up podcast, or just tell her that Bubba sent you. Okay, the guest's final topic for discussion. So this is anything you got wrote down or anything that came to your mind or that the Lord put on your heart. And just a forewarning, if we need to and we have enough positive feedback, dude, you're welcome back anytime. We can go deeper on other things if you want to, or we can discuss things right now. The ball is in your court.
So I kind of touched on it earlier a little bit. Here's my deal. I guess if I was going to give you one thing, this is Ryan's. We need to start doing a better job, and this is me for starters, and then I start with myself, and
Good.
We need to love one another more. What does God tell us to do? We need to lead by example. We need to let our actions tell us we're Christians. If you have to tell someone you're a Christian, I mean, this has been weighing on me the last 6 to 8 months of my life. When you have to tell someone you are a Christian, are you really a Christian? You got to tell somebody you are? Should they know? When you see Phil Robinson, do you think he has to tell you he's a Christian? I doubt it, Bubba. We spend a lot of time thinking we're living, how was I say this, Bubba? High on the horse.
Okay.
Oh, judging people. Oh, they're this sinner, they're that sinner. They have a judge. He's in heaven. Love everyone. Show them what they're missing out on by your actions. Don't tell them what they're doing is a sin. There's a lot of sin out there. There's a lot of perverse things going on that
Right.
really bother me. And I've been on one side. Now I'm trying to be on the other side. I think in my mind's eye, we just need to love everyone, treat them with respect. When they see the positive things going on in your life, they will come ask you. They will come searching for what you got. People like a good thing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying,
Yep.
Bubba? I see a lot of it in the Christian faith, and I wish there was a lot less of it. If we just loved everybody, treat everybody like the same, we don't have to agree with them, like I said. And then in that, so I don't know, here is the verse that's been weighing on me. I've discussed it with my wife multiple times, and it's still weighing on me. It's Matthew 7:17 through 20.
Okay.
So I'll read it for
You
you.
read it for me.
I got it on my phone. I know it, but so this is what's weighing on me right now. Okay? Pull my glasses up so I can read this. A good tree produces good fruit. A bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit. A bad tree cannot produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so can you identify people by their actions. And it hits me in multi-folds because I became fanatical about trees. I've grown.
Okay.
I have grown. I could give you a podcast on grafting and growing apple trees, chestnut trees. I've got species of trees growing and apples growing that are a first that's ever been on this planet. Multiple ones. I'm trying to create the perfect apple tree, okay?
Okay.
When a bad tree, certain apple trees don't produce fruit, which you don't know, but I can teach you about that. Those trees, you know what I do with them? I cut them down and I use them for smoke wood.
Okay.
So it has a...
I see the meaning.
What it means is this has a literal and a figurative to me, okay? So I understand it and then I understand that. So this goes back to my thing. If you're leading a good Christian life, it's going to show, okay? If you're following what God told you to do, it's going to show. There's a lot of people, myself, starting with myself, need to look at the fruit we're producing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is what's been weighing on my mind. What kind of fruit have I been producing? I have a certain temperament, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I think the kingdom needs all temperaments, okay? It needs enforcers. I'm more of an enforcer, okay?
Okay.
I'm not the easiest, luckiest, outgoingest guy, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But if you look at me as a general whole, you know, I'm honest, I'm dependable. I don't, you know, I have certain qualities that will lead you to something different about me.
Yep.
But it is nowhere where it needs to be. So I'm the
Wow.
first to admit that.
Wow.
No, I've looked at my life as a whole where I've got to. I'm embarrassed by it, Bubba. Embarrassed. As of right now in my life, I'm embarrassed. Not by my life. I've led a pretty good life.
Right.
I've raised some good kids. I've done this and that. But if I had to explain I am glad I'm not dead today, Bubba. There is changes that need to happen in my life. Okay. Boastful, arrogance. I'm quick to take action against people. You see what I'm saying? These are things that, those are not fruits of the Spirit.
Right.
Those are not positive fruits that lead to people saying, boy, he's a Christian.
Right.
They say a lot of things about me, but that's not the first thing that comes to mind. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
There won't be a person that can say bad things about me, such as I'm an adulterer, I'm a cheater, I'm a crook.
He screwed me over.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, I have solid integrity.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work to be done. And the good thing is, hopefully I've got enough years left on this planet to rectify my shortcomings. But that has been weighing on me. God has put, so if you want to think God speaks, God's been weighing this on me. He's been laying this at my feet, laying it to me, putting it on me. I mess up and I do something I shouldn't have. I blow up on somebody at work. I do this and I go, boy, that wasn't Christian.
Wasn't it?
Shouldn't have done that. Can't take it back. I can only try to improve. So, that's why I also believe you should never look. I try not to. I don't say I never do. I try not to spend too much time in worrying about what happened in the past.
Okay.
I try to keep my eyes on what's ahead of me. I'm trying to fix the now and forward. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Make a better person of myself now. I'm not saying I was terrible, but I left a lot to be desired now that I look back at it.
I got you. 100%.
There is a lot to be desired, and a lot of it is it is what God gave me. It's my personality. I mean, it's who I am. I understand who I am. There's a better version of me in here. That's what I'm striving to become. So that's my final thought.
Wow, that's way deeper than I thought you were gonna go.
That's it.
Not to sell you short. We've had we know each other inside now.
Oh yeah.
But, dude, you're spot on. Very good stuff. I mean, I can't add to that, so I'm not even gonna try. But and I'll tell you what, that hearing you say that, dude, that encourages me. Because people aren't into self-reflection.
No,
they want to think they got it right. Don't you dare tell them they don't have it right. And I mean, what's the other principle? It says before you start looking at the speck in your brother's eye, you better take that log out of your own eye.
Right.
And fruit's a big deal, man.
And you've done an excellent job, Bob. I will tell you that you are an excellent, in my mind's eye, and an excellent example of a Christian. I'm not trying to blow smoke up you.
No, you don't do that ever.
No, and that's like my kids. If I tell them they've done a good job, they know it. I never blow smoke.
Oh, I've been holding that one in the holster. I was going to get to that. When Ryan Peterson gives you a compliment,
Right.
You earned it.
You've done an excellent job with your family, Bubba. I'm very proud of what you've done. You've done an excellent job. You're an excellent Christian. You're an excellent example of what should happen and should be. And there's few of you out there, Bubba. I am very impressed with your turnaround. I truly am. I knew you in your darkest days. We were there together, chewing and drinking and acting stupid. We were acting like idiots.
Yeah.
We both come a ways. You've came further than me. I will admit that. You are a better example than I am at this juncture in life. Period. I'm not too proud to admit that. So there you go, Bubba.
You are. We're brothers, man, and we're getting in together.
Right.
That's it. We're forgiven by the blood of Jesus, and that's it.
It's a good thing I am. I'm daily forgiven, Bubba.
Yeah, I was gonna make sure and tell everybody, like, listen, when Ryan, he is one of those honest guys, integrity guys, straightforward guys, a little blunt at times, whatever. But if you get a compliment, he is a straight shooter. He will, I mean, I give you 100 stories. My goodness, when I'm sitting here trying to land haymakers when we were boxing, and he says, "Bubba, take it easy. I'm only going 40%," and then he just slaps one in the ribs just to back me down. It's like.
I just get reminded, Bubba, we have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. And you know what? I just had my fantasy football draft with all my old Omega buddies, and they remembered that. They remembered those Fridays at work. I was like, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling light on my feet. I got something for Ryan tonight. Just you watch. And I'd come in Monday with a little black eye or whatever, and they'd be like, how'd Friday go? Not as good as I hoped. But we had fun, man. Yeah. And so when you earn a compliment from you, what was it? When I first got started being the fill-in preacher, which I thought was like a one-time thing, and now it's just become the thing. The first one, you came after me and said, dude, you did good. That was good. And the second one, you said, I'm pretty sure it was, I hate to admit it, but the second one was good too.
I said I hate to admit it, Bubba. That was.
I hate to admit it. That was
even better, Bubba. I hate to admit, because I hate to blow your head up. It's like, man, I have to do it. But when I see something that I think is excellent, I will tell you.
I tell my kids that all the time. I say it's a lost art for people to tell somebody that you notice they got it right, or you encourage them. I don't care if it's face-to-face, a handwritten note, you let somebody know that you appreciate them or they encourage you or something. It's a lost art. It really is. And it does something so much. I mean, you just had me almost in tears there. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, those were the first 2 sermons. I've done 10, but one of them was a 2-parter, so call it 11.
Right.
Folks, I've gotten 2 compliments. 2. And I thought they kept getting better, but I only got 2. So that tells me I got room to improve.
No, it's once you excel.
Oh, I'm setting the bar high.
You set the bar so high to get that next one. You got to hit a grand slam.
And you can't hit a grand slam every time.
No,
you just can't.
No. You can't. Babe Ruth did a home run every time.
It's like how they say it's like what they say about terrorism, man. We can have the best anti-terror. We can have our airline scare. We can have everything, but we've got to be on it 100% of the time, because if we fail one time and they're successful,
Right.
It's like it's all for naught.
Yeah,
You can't have a bar that
Henry
high.
had his first cross country meet, and he spent a tremendous amount of time this summer training. Very impressive with that kid's work ethic.
Yeah.
And he flopped.
Oh.
He went out too hard. He got inside his own head and had a terrible race.
Did he have a watch on?
No, he tried to run without a watch. He tried to run just by feeling, and he had one of the worst runs he's had in years. Okay, and now everybody in the town expects him to run well because he is a very very good runner.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he got done in his. So he knows what I've got to say. I just look at him and I go, well, that was a soup sandwich.
A soup sandwich.
So that is something to imagine. That is one of the sayings that my brother came up with. So it's a sandwich, but it's made out of soup.
It's not good.
That's a sloppy mess.
Yeah.
So a soup sandwich is as bad as things get. If
Okay.
I tell you it's a soup sandwich, that's the worst.
Okay.
The worst kind of worst. And his grandfather was like, "Oh, Henry, that was okay." No, I'm like, "Nope,
Don't beat around the bush.
nope." So we went out and he rectified the situation Saturday morning. Me and Henry did right at daybreak, and we ran we didn't. He ran a 5K and I chased him on a bicycle because that's the way I keep up with him now. And he ran an extremely gutsy, fast, hard 5K. And when he got done, we go in the house and I looked at him. I go, "Excellent."
Nice.
And he knows that I mean it.
Yep.
When he ran at state and did great, I said, "Excellent." When he had at the conference meeting, you know what I mean? So yeah, if I tell you, then that, in my mindset, that's the only compliment should come. They should come as great or that left a lot to be desired.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's all I got for you, Bubba.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to try and close too with a verse that's on my mind based on who's sitting across from me. I like reminiscing on that stuff. I do. We had a lot of fun times. We were both, just serving in the church year after year, raising kids, and then the whole running, boxing, swimming, all that stuff. That's fun to reminisce. So when I thought about this podcast, who am I going to have on? Who's going to make my first episode really good, really interesting, entertaining? I was like, I know it's you. But when I think of you, that Psalm 127 comes to mind, just because of all the years we spent together, Christian dads, raising kids, serving in the church, all that. Says it's a short chapter in Psalms. It's only like 5 verses. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman keeps awake in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to retire late, to eat the bread of painful labors, for he gives to his beloved even in his sleep. Behold, children are a gift of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. How blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with their enemies in the gate. And, there's kind of a hunting or a battle theme in that one. But, man, I just think, we had kids. We were trying to do it as right as we could, and we probably should have given more effort in different times, both of us. When I think of that, I know where your heart is, and I know, you're trying to, that foundation is important to you, correct, and you better build it on top of that. I can respect that. That's something to be honored, because it ain't about us. So I appreciate you, man. Being episode number 1, I appreciate you a lot.
Good time, Bubba. Good time.
So let me get to some thank yous. Obviously, my guest, Ryan, I think we're just going to have you on again some other time. So we can just, now that all the other stuff's out of the way, we can just maybe have certain episodes just about some issues that you're wanting to talk about or whatever.
Right on.
So if you're up for that, we'll do it. But I got to thank Rad Dupre. I know it's been a while since I actually got to this episode 1, but if you liked what you heard in that promo and that deep booming voice that everyone told me, hey, that's not you. No, that's my buddy Rad Dupre, the man doing all the voiceover for that kind of stuff and the audio help. That's who I went to. When you want good sounding voice, you go to your buddy who's legally deaf. It works. Thank you, Rad. The logo, if you thought the logo looked good, no, I did not come up with that. I tried to, and I showed my wife and Timothy, my oldest son, I showed him that, and they laughed. They said it looked like something you hopped on Snapchat and did. So we sent it over to my wife's stepbrother, Austin, who's a graphic design artist, man, and he knocked it out of the park. He nailed it. He made it look very good and professional. And then I got to thank Pastor Micah and Delvin Summerlot. If you're not in the basement right now, all the equipment me and Ryan are using and looking at, I didn't purchase any of it. Other than one Chromebook. Other than that, the mics, the cords, the audio interface, them guys loaned me everything I needed to get started. And that's why I'm not taking money from sponsors, because if this thing flops, I don't want to have to give money back or feel bad about it. So those are my no money sponsors. My final thought for the day is, man, it kind of goes back to why I started this podcast. Everyone's going to think, oh, what is up? Like when you sit down to guess, you say, what is up? That's really not it. It sounds good, but that's not it. Have you caught yourself looking around the last few years, 5, 10 years, whatever, and you just looked at certain things and thought, man, what the heck is up with that? What is up with this? What things seem to be crazy, or why are things the way they are? Me and Ryan will tell you, the answers you're looking for, you're not going to find them down here. You're not going to find them in some person or anything. You got to look to God and His Word. You got to look up. Romans 3:23 says we've all sinned, every one of us. That's step one by people who want to start a self-help group. That's step one. We've all sinned. You admit it. But then you keep going in Romans 6:23, it says the wages of that sin is death. They're talking hell, separated from God. But the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus. Jesus said you must be born again, okay? You can't go your whole life thinking you're enough or you can earn it. You got to be born again. And I'm not going to take the time to do everything on air, but I'll make this promise to you. If you need some help or you want to know more, you can join me at my church, First Baptist Dunkerton. You can go to Ryan's church, Grace in Waterloo, any Sunday, okay? And you'll hear the gospel. You can join us online. You guys do live streaming? You can join us online. If you're not in the area, that's totally fine. You can go to a Facebook page, whatever. You can hear the truth and the gospel. Or you can leave a comment in the comment section on YouTube. I've even created a special email address. If you don't want to do any of that, shoot me an email at whatisuppodcast@gmail.com, and I'll personally share the gospel with you so that you can know for sure that God is real, that He loves you, and He wants a relationship with you. Yes, even you, if you're thinking you're not worthy. If you haven't figured it out by now, there's nothing on this earth that you can put your hope in. No person, no thing. We got to look up. So if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow it. Leave a 5-star review so it can reach other people. If you're listening on YouTube, you got to subscribe to it. Leave me a comment. I'd love to have a comment section to share sometime. Share it with everyone you know wherever you're listening. I want feedback. I want questions. I want comments. I even want criticism, which I guarantee you Ryan is going to give me as soon as these mics are shut off. He will tell me, you could do better here. I promise you. That's just who he is. But I want to thank you seriously for listening. I hope it encourages you. Lord willing, I'll talk to you on the next one.